Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about the difference between the is world and the if world. All right, really just out of force of habit, I've been listening to Grace Randolph. I've been listening to her for like 10 years, right? And while Vladimir Putin cracked the world in half on February 24th, 2022, some habits remain, right? She's been doing a great job of just covering the global box office, right? And the biggest thing on the global box office right now is the Batman. She did a really, really fantastic video about, specifically about the Batman, the brand new 2022 Batman. Not making no spoilers for that movie in this. We're just going to talk about the numbers. But that has the new Robert Pattinson, Cedric Diggory and Edward from Twilight, the new Batman. I saw this movie 3 times on opening weekend. It was fantastic. It's a great, great movie. 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love it. I actually think that Matt Reeves has surpassed Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. I do think that the Batman is better than anything Christopher Nolan did on the Batman, period. So she's talking about, this problem that's arising, which is the Batman is not going to make $1 billion. It's almost a certainty it will not make $1 billion. The box office numbers are very predictable. Even with the March 2020 problem in the world, it's still incredibly predictable, right? And so it looks like by every measure, the Batman is not going to make $1 billion. This is a huge problem, right? And she did a great video, an entire breakdown, and said, listen, this is billions of dollars are on the line here. This is you're looking at the future. You are really very seriously looking at the future of the American entertainment industry. And we're deciding if movies are a thing or not, right? And there's a lot of things going on. So one, this is a Warner Brothers film. They're a studio who owns a streaming service. They're a studio, Warner Brothers. They own a streaming service, HBO Max, right? And they have this 45-day window. And Grace was saying, this 45-day window, they did day and date before, right? And that was a catastrophic failure, right? They did day and date for an entire year with all their movies, right? It was horrific. It just absolutely tanked the box office on virtually everything they did. Now they have this 45-day window, and Grace said, this is too small because and I literally just talked to a friend of mine. I'm like, did you see the Batman? And he was like, no, I'm just going to wait for it to drop on HBO Max. I don't need to, And I was like, ooh, that's rough, And so it's a really big deal. Now I have a movie in 2023 that I'm highly invested that it does well, highly personally invested that it does well. And so I really want to see a global productive box office, right? And so where we land is this is sad. If you can't do $1 billion with a brand new Batman relaunch, this is a very big problem. And especially when Marvel is just embarrassing DC and just put up $1.8 billion on Spider-Man, a Marvel Sony movie, and in the middle of the March 2020 problem. They're just embarrassing DC. It's incredible. So I'm listening to all this and I'm really fascinated by it, and I'm like, this is great coverage. But then I'm like, why does any of this matter? This is ridiculously useless information, right? And the reason why, and I'm like, Grace isn't paying attention to the is world, right? What is the is world? Well, it's a world of terror, right? Do you remember when terror was incredibly tiny and it looked manageable, right? We had this problem in America in 2001, right? And we were struck by terror. That looks like a weekend project now compared to what Vladimir Putin did. People were like, oh my gosh, 3,000 people died and 2 buildings dropped to the ground. And Vladimir Putin says, no, you don't worry about 2001. You can put that away under minor problem. In my world, you, America, you need to worry if 3 dozen cities will simultaneously blow away in ash in a radioactive wind, right? I'm going to make you forget 2001 ever happened. We got bumper stickers here that say never forget. It's going to be hard to remember when the entire country is under a global NW-ARC threat, right? Like, that is, it's incredible, right? Like, and we all need to say this together. Vladimir Putin's villainy knows no end. Nothing stops him from reaching for deeper and deeper and higher levels of villainy. It's like, it looks like, it's so outlandish, it looks like cartoon villainy, but it's not, right? Like, you're like, how did he not grow a mustache so he could twirl it next to someone on a railroad track? It is shocking. Like, it's shocking. It's just hard to even process what's happening. So I was listening to Grace, and I'm like, what world is she living in where she thinks any of this matters, right? And I can tell you the world she's living in. She's living in the if world, right? If Russia changes overnight, right? Like, if let's say Vladimir Putin's best friend from elementary school comes and says, hey, listen, buddy, we see what you're doing. You thought this was all going to work. It's not working. Step down. It's done, right? And Vladimir Putin just, because probably because 50,000 evangelical Christians prayed for it, says, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I'm packing it up, right? That can happen. It's a possibility. It's a low probability, but it can happen, right? So if Vladimir Putin stops being the leader of Russia because he decides not to, the whole world changes and we go back to if world, right? We're in is world. What is our is world? A world of terror, right? What is the if world? A world in which global box office numbers matter, right? And my point to you is we need to have incredible sympathy for people who are still living in the if world. I'm not there. I'm very, very concerned about the is world of terror that we currently live in, right? But there are good people who are really still connected to the is world, right? To the if world, What if things turn good overnight? And it is a possibility. One of the reasons why I think it's a possibility is I think Vladimir Putin is a rational actor. I don't think he's crazy, right? And if you have a rational actor, they can make rational decisions at any point, right? And so this world can change on a dime. That's one thing. Everybody's like, well, if this happens, then that happens. No. We live in a world where things happen and then we react, right? And you could make predictions, but be ready to be wrong. It will happen frequently. All that's my opinion, and I just want to say I have a lot of sympathy for you if you are in the if world. All that's my opinion. Love to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.